Thank you for posting your questions, and let's get this Q&A started. Penley Rows from blocks or various heights for back thickness thoughts. Well, I actually just released a variation of this on Instagram, so be sure to check me out at OutAlpha. Essentially, it's a Penley Row done with a higher back angle. Simple stuff, nothing magical. However, it does reduce the stress on the lower back. So it's dead stop, concentric base, acquiring all the benefits of a Penley Row, but the joint angles are different. Think of combining a Yates row and a Penley Row into one. That's essentially what you got. Now you can go heavy on this variation, or you could do for volume work. For me personally, I like reps of 12 to 15. So you don't have to be all the way bent forward with a horizontal back angle. No, you could elevate, okay, and do a dead stop off pins or off blocks. Perfectly acceptable, great substitute. You're going to gain a lot of strength and mass using this movement. How much of a difference does it make being underweight when you start going to the gym and hop into a linear progression program? Well, it can either be to your benefit or to your detriment. Typically speaking, those who are underweight are not eating a lot of food. And when they start following a linear progression system, of course they will make newbie gains, but usually they will experience some type of stall because they're not eating the calorie surplus, just not enough food, period. If you're like 120 pounds, bro, there's a reason why, okay? You're not eating enough and you probably have a low appetite. So like, that's the potential problem that I can see. People are just not going to eat properly and they're not going to acquire the best results. Also, if you're really, really underweight, maybe that tells you something about your genetics or your bone structure, you know? So that could be a factor, could be. And I've also noticed that those who start off at a higher body weight, or people who are just fatter in general, tend to make better novice gains for the most part because they got more reserves and they can recomp fairly easily. So just an observation there. But honestly, I wouldn't worry about it too much. When I started out, I was 120 pounds. And you saw me bulk up to a serious weight. So I used to be very skinny as well. Like, it was insane. But now you know me as Alpha Destiny, the guy with pretty good muscles, good strength. So it will take some time. Don't worry about it too much. Instead, focus on the journey and enjoying the process, okay? Just get nutrition in check, follow the right program, and even if you're underweight now, I can assure you that in a year or two, you'll be at a regular weight, okay? I have quite narrow shoulders. It is really hurting my confidence and is making me feel really bad about myself. Any mindset or advice for me? Well, if you have really narrow shoulders, I mean, you're probably a novice lifter, so focus on building your base first. But besides that, bro, I mean, you're not going to have narrow shoulders forever. Just like the last guy, you know, if you're underweight doesn't mean you're going to be underweight when you're lifting for a few years. So just put in the work and enjoy the freaking process, all right? Focus on those side delts. Focus on gaining mass overall. Get a wider back. Get that V-taper on point. You know, maybe get a smaller waist. Start doing some tummy vacuums, man. You just need to put on more mass. These are not the right questions. Like, okay, you got narrow shoulders. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep complaining that you have narrow shoulders, or are you going to follow a plan that corrects the issue? I wouldn't say that I have like the widest clavicles of all time, like at all. I have pretty good back genetics, but I'm a short guy. You know, I don't have like the craziest frame, but when I do my lat spread, man, I look pretty wide. You know, when I'm just in regular clothes, I look pretty broad. That's because I gained a lot of mass. You know, gain 20 pounds. See what happens. You know, you just need more mass. Another thing could be to go bear mode. Bear mode will increase your body measurements like crazy. Yeah, your waist will go up too, so you'll look a little bit more square. But you're not going to look like narrow, you know? So again, it just goes back to putting the work and building your base, all right? And then focusing on a few key areas like the lats and the shoulders. 25% body fat at 6 feet, weighing 190 pounds. Should I cut or bulk? I'm about 30, 60 pounds off from intermediate status. Well, I find it hard to believe that you're actually 25% body fat. If you're 6 feet, 190, I doubt it. And you're that close to the intermediate stage, I doubt it. You're probably overrepresenting what you actually are. Maybe you're 20% body fat. It's weird because most people think they're leaner than they actually are. Maybe you've watched too many of my videos. Maybe you become so realistic that it's like, okay, I must be 25% body fat. I don't think that's the case. If you're that close to intermediate and you weigh 190 at 6 feet, kind of doubt it. So in your case, I'm going to say, no, you don't have to cut. If you're at 20%, that's the perfect range for bear mode. So you're probably going to look stacked as hell. What I would say is cut if you feel that's the right decision. Do you have aspirations in looking leaner? Do you want to have that ripped body? If so, then do a cut. If you want to just keep focusing on your performance and gaining mass overall, then eat at maintenance or a surplus, whatever. Maintain that state. It's perfectly fine, man. You have to know what you want and then go ahead and pursue that goal, all right? How can I deadlift to my workout without it affecting my other leg and back workout? I'm a short guy with short arms. Always struggle with the deadlift. I've never been able to go past 500. Yeah, the backstory of this guy is that he always gets recovery problems. He says that if he starts deadlifting frequently or with a lot of volume, it just destroys his lower back. Not like negative pains, but the recovery is bad. My advice for you, my friend, would be to deadlift from the floor once a week and keep the volume very low. Do not go above 90% of your 1 rep max. You can try 3 sets of 1 at 90% if you want to go relatively heavy from the pulls off the floor, all right? So that's what I do. And also, make block pulls the majority of your training. I've said it over and over again, man. Block pulls are the secret to staying injury-free, getting a ton of strength and a ton of mass, okay? When I talk about strength training for optimal carryover or just general strength, period, block pulls are a perfectly fine substitute, using heights of 2, 4, 6 inches, 6 being the absolute max. But you'd be perfectly fine with a 3-inch pull, all right? 3-inch blocks. Nothing wrong with doing that, okay? That's what I recommend. Up your volume on block pulls. Make that the majority of your training. And then once a week, just for the specificity benefits, pull off the floor. The way that I used to do it was I used to do deadlift with bands. Every single week, I would rotate the band tension, okay? And then my volume workouts, I would do below the knee rack pulls or block pulls. And I would usually do it in a progressive range of motion style. And I'll go high volume on that. Well, I like doing 5x5 for that. But that's how you avoid recovery problems, okay? I don't agree with this idea that you should be doing conventional deadlifts 5 times a week or super high frequency or super high volume. I think a lot of guys are going to end up with lower back issues doing that. Just my opinion. Plus, you got short arms like me, so I understand your frustration. Not everybody is going to be suited for doing all that work off the floor. I just disagree with it, man. I think block pulls are the way to go. Big fan of that. Hey Alex, is meal timing really important? I'm bulking at 3,300 calories and I eat like 2 big meals every day. At the gym, people tell me my body will not absorb all the macros from those meals. Nonsense. You will absorb everything, okay? It's the same idea that, oh, your body can only take in 40 grams of protein in one sitting. Bullshit. It's just nonsense. It's bro science. Don't worry about it, okay? If you're getting your total daily energy expenditure, okay, you're hitting your caloric needs, there's nothing to worry about. If I'm eating freaking 1 meal a day and I'm in a 20% calorie surplus, you think I'm not going to gain weight because of the meal timing? Come on, bro. Meal timing is not really going to make or break you. If we're talking about body recomposition, you can use that as a tool. Like obviously it's harder to gain weight if you're having 1 or 2 big meals a day. Trust me, I would know. That said, I think meal timing could be important for health. In my opinion, a fasting focused lifestyle is better than not, just for health. I believe it reduces inflammation like crazy while providing a bunch of other benefits. And I would rather that you have 1 to 3 meals a day instead of like 6 to 8 meals a day. Like eating every 2 hours, I don't think that's the optimal way to eat. Just my opinion. I don't like high eating frequencies, but I do like a fasting-based lifestyle. So if we're talking about health, well, that's where I think meal timing would be important. And that's the main reason why I do what I do. But just for gaining strength and size, no, you'll be fine. Should I do glute ham raises every day to correct quad dominance? I bought Spudding's glute ham strap and was wondering how many should I do? Well, it's not a question of how many should you do. It's just start prioritizing it. It's a quad dominant epidemic and you got yourself a glute ham raise, so make use of it as frequently as possible. Maybe every 48 hours? Hey, just focus on basic progression, you know, going from body weight, maybe 5 reps to 20 reps, adding weight if you have to, adding bands if you have to. Just make it a part of your training, but it doesn't have to be every day to correct this imbalance. There's other things you can do every day, like band leg curls or ankle weight leg curls, maybe even band good mornings or band pull-throughs. But in terms of doing a glute ham every day, it might be hard in your recovery. It's a tough lift. A lot of guys can't even do a single repetition of it. So instead of doing that, I'd rather you do the ankle weight leg curls every single day or with the bands. And then the glute hams can be done every 48 hours with a basic setup, 3 sets of 8 to 12 with linear progression type of deal. Okay? Simple stuff. But yes, definitely make use of it. That was a smart move, my man. Advice for volume days when using naturally enhanced for bench gains. I've seen your bench video, but you mostly focus on intensity a day. Yeah, good question. I use a lot of different methods, okay? One of them, which was recommended to me by Louis Simmons, is week 1, 6x6, week 2, 8x8, week 3, 10x10. It's a 3-week wave. And then you can also alternate between that and the dynamic effort method. And there's all kinds of opportunities for that. So you do 50, 55, 60 using double mini bands, or you could throw on some chains in there too. That's probably the best way to go about it if you're talking about like optimal specificity. But honestly, it could be a simple solution like doing a 5 sets of 10 and rotating the variation weekly. You can do 5 sets of 10 flat barbell bench press, right? Week 2, close grip, same set and rep range. Week 3, you're doing the same thing with a football bar. And then maybe the last week you throw on 40-pounder chain or something. Like simple stuff. The beauty of the system is that you're managing volume intensity throughout the yearly cycle. That's why you could use the max effort method every single week. All you have to do is rotate the variation. So if you want to keep it simple, same sets and reps, 5x10, rotate the bench style, go ahead. Whatever you want, my man. Like I said, there's so many different approaches, and the beauty is that you have the customization. You can really do what you want. But my 2 recommendations would be dynamic effort method and the 6x6, 8x8, 10x10 setup, okay? Those are great. Oh yeah, and 5x5, that works great as well as a secondary press. When Alex talks about being able to bench and squat X amount of weight, is he talking about 1 rep max? Usually I'm talking about 1 rep max, but perhaps I should be more specific. I would say it's referring to the 1 to 5 rep range. So for example, I think a lot of people can hit a 3-plate bench naturally. I think this is extremely realistic and doable for a very large percentage of the population. I don't think it's as challenging as people make it out to be, okay? And the squat and deadlift standards can also be higher. And by the way, the reason why I talk about these 3 numbers is because it's most relatable to individuals. It gives them a general sense of where they stand. But there's other movements that test your standards, like a trap bar deadlift, or the overhead press, or the barbell row, or the Penley row, or the weighted pull-up. So when I talk about the big 3, it's just so that you understand. They're general examples. I'm not saying that you just have to do the big 3. Like, that's the furthest thing from my training, okay? So just wanted to make that clear. Hey, Alex, is full body every other day just as effective as 2 to 3 times a week if you control your volume intensity? Yeah, pretty much. I would say it's just as, if not more effective. As long as you're properly managing volume and intensity, they're going to be good. Like, if you can do this correctly, it's fully auto-regulated, you're rotating the correct lifts for optimal specificity and general strength, you're correctly managing volume intensity, so you're not overdoing it with the exercise selection, not underdoing it either, like you have that perfect blend, you'll get great gains. Like if you're doing full body every other day, bro, that's incredible. It's a great way to train because you can have all the extra muscle protein synthesis. You're probably going to gain a little bit more strength in the process, and recovery is not going to be an issue because it's perfectly managed. The only problem is that this is not feasible for a lot of people. I learned this the hard way when I ran the Alpha Body system. This is what I used before Naturally Enhanced, okay? So I've been doing concurrent for a very long time now, so it's nothing new now. And I did notice that it was a bit harder to manage volume intensity. I have to go in 3 days a week. Others, maybe even twice a week. But usually it was like 3 or 4 times a week. And the guys who used that program as well, a lot of them, they had difficulties managing the volume intensity. It's harder to manage for the masses, in other words. Whereas the full body twice a week, bro, it's incredible. It's so hard to mess up because you just know that one day you're going heavy, the other day you're doing volume. It simplifies everything. And the fact that you can keep the sets and reps the same while just rotating specific movements, it's such an easy way to train that it's hard to mess up. That's what I'm getting at here. But besides that, bro, if you want to train every 48 hours full body, as long as you do it correctly, you know what you're doing, enjoy the gains. Alex, what is the #1 exercise for a wide back? I'd probably have to say the weighted pull-up, okay? The dead hang weighted pull-up is, what more do you want me to say about it? It's time tested. It works the back tremendously well. Like, this is what I've been doing for the most part for months on end. I just pull-ups. And the second best, maybe a barbell row. Barbell row, weighted pull-up, you can't go wrong either way. Although if we're talking about overall benefits, I would say the barbell row offers more, realistically speaking. Because I think it hits the upper back more than the weighted pull-up. And it'll have greater carryover to weight training. Whereas the pull-ups, I don't see it having carryover, I'll just be honest with you. It builds a great back. It's great for calisthenics performance and gymnastics and all that. But I don't see it improving my deadlift strength or any stuff like that. I just don't. Or my rowing strength for that matter. So I find that rowing will give you more bang for your buck, if you want to use that terminology. But besides that, are handstand push-ups a substitute for the overhead press? They absolutely are. And if you use it with enough intensity and you modify it a little bit, it can be extremely challenging, such that you'll never have to overhead press ever again. That was one of the considerations that I had when doing the home gym. I thought to myself, like, technically I don't need this stuff. I can just do handstand push-ups off a wall, okay, with like parallettes and get super deep range of motion, and then I'll do something like rest pause. Like it's that good. It's so freaking effective. Handstand push-ups, low rest intervals, done off a deficit. It's incredible. Then you could just put on a weight vest if you want to increase the intensity a little bit. Like you're not missing anything from that. It's awesome. It's really good. For pure mass, you're gonna be fine. For strength training, it's great. It's easy to manage. Like it's a hard lift. Okay, it's hard. So technically, you don't have to, man. If you want to just do bench press and handstand push-ups, be my guest. Alex, I injured my rotator cuff recently. Will weighted hangs help with recovery? I don't know about that. I would check with a medical professional first. I'm just a random guy giving advice on YouTube, okay? That said, some guys swear by hanging. They believe that it actually enhances your shoulder health, okay? I don't know how valid that is. It might be true, it might not be true. I'm sure there's truth to both sides, okay? Certainly, I would not do weighted hangs. I would at least do it with your body weight and leave it at that. Instead, I'm going to give you a more practical recommendation. I would advise doing overhead shrugs with an empty barbell, in addition to full range of motion overhead pressing with a barbell, OHP that is, with the empty bar. And just make sure that you're using good form. Shove your head through, shrug at the top, okay? Incorporate lots of rows into the equation as well, in addition to band face pulls and innies and outies. Then also check out Donnie Thompson's shoulder protocols. That's what I recommend for guys who have rotator cuff problems. And switch from horizontal presses to vertical presses, okay? With the barbell. Thoughts on stomach vacuums, are they legit? They absolutely are legit. They will shrink down your waist without you having to lose body fat. It's actually a magical thing. This is one of the top illusion strategies that exists. It's time tested, of course. A lot of old school bodybuilders swear by it. It's a nice little pose as well. I think it looks really cool when you do a front double bi and you got that stomach vacuum. It's awesome, man. It actually does make you more trim. It gives you a smaller waist. It's real stuff, man. It's real stuff. So for the aesthetic benefits, it's totally worth it. And I'd say give it a shot, all right? Can one get good looking defined legs through calisthenics and high frequency squat calisthenics rather than heavy weight? Well, first of all, I would advise against leg extensions. We already have a quad dominant epidemic, and I think the leg extensions will contribute to knee pain among various other problems. So I'm really not a fan of that. I would rather do leg curls with the bands or the ankle weights, or do something like a glute ham, okay? As far as the body weight squats are concerned, I mean, yeah, you can get some good looking legs, but I just keep the intensity rather high, volume high as well. You're not going to have massive legs in my opinion, but you can get pretty good legs. If I were to just do that, I'd be fine. I'll be honest with you. But recognize that you'll never reach your potential just doing bodyweight squats. Weighted are far superior, real talk. They just are. And also with the squats, keep in mind too, you can do pistol squats. So you could use your body weight for that. And, okay, you're going to have aesthetic looking legs, good VMO, all that. You won't have that massive appearance, which is a cool look. That's what I'm going for right now. How to get rid of eye bags, I get enough sleep, but still have them. Well, there's a lot of factors to consider here, so I'm just going to give you a general answer. I would say that you're probably lacking in micronutrients, so I would recommend upping your fruits and vegetables, especially the fruits, man. Fruits, 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 fruits. You might have adrenal fatigue as well, or perhaps you're very dependent upon stimulants. So you think you have energy, you think you're well rested from sleeping, but you're actually not. You're just using caffeine and other things as a crutch. So I would say cut out all stimulants, up your micronutrients like crazy, and see what happens from there. Okay, this is just a general basic answer. Could you please answer or give advice on how to exercise when I'm doing hard labor work 8 to 10 hours every day? Well, there are lots of people who do manual labor jobs and they're still able to go to the gym and make all kinds of gains. For one, I would say that your GPP is covered, so no need to worry about that. So just make sure that you're following a good program that allows you to make some gains. Full body system is what I would advise. Your job is full body and you're probably accustomed to it, so full body is what I recommend. And maybe you can even start off with something like a twice a week system. My classic naturally enhanced template. You do Monday intensity day, Thursday volume day. Then you don't even have to do the GPP, all right? I think this will be a great way to train because you're not going to have any recovery problems. At least you'll minimize it as much as possible given the strenuous manual labor job. So that's a really good way to train. You can also do a full body every day if you choose to, which I know it sounds crazy given the fact of what you're doing, but you can do a super low volume full body workout. Maybe even something like Bulgarian would work, where you're just doing one lift a day. Do you have enough energy to do one lift? Think about that. So there's a lot of different approaches here, but recognize that there are many, many people who have manual labor jobs and they're still kicking ass in the gym. You just have to make time for it and be consistent. And of course, you will be weaker at the start, but if this is the job that you do year round and you will continue to do this for years on end, what do you want to do about it? You have no other choice but to lift with these conditions. So make the best out of it. Make sure that you're sleeping at nighttime properly, okay? Make sure that you're eating correctly, and then run the best program that allows you to recover. So that's my general advice here, okay? What is your opinion on having caffeine first thing in the morning? Well, there's a few different things I could say here. For one, I think that a lot of people are overly dependent upon caffeine in the sense that if they don't have it, they cannot function throughout the day. This, to me, demonstrates the fact that most people aren't sleeping enough, okay? Or they're under-recovered from their shitty program. That could be a possibility. Or they're just overstressed or whatever. But you should wake up with energy, feeling good. Not like a freaking zombie, and then you got to put all this caffeine down your throat to feel good, all right? there's something missing if you need the caffeine to go through your life, okay? So don't become dependent on it. It's good to use it as a performance enhancer before a workout. That's always cool. You get more numbers, you feel less pain. It's nice. But a lot of guys who depend on it, it's because their diet is lacking in something, their sleep is not good. There's just something off within their lifestyle itself. So I don't like using caffeine as a crutch. That said, I've also heard, I don't know if this is bro science or not, but if you have caffeine immediately upon waking up, it increases your cortisol levels. Like, it makes you feel more anxiety, and it's like, oh, and also can have an immediate effect on your stomach where you got to go to the bathroom right away. So from what I've heard by certain individuals, it's best to wait an hour after waking, and then you have your coffee. This way you won't have any stomach distress for the most part, and you won't have that anxiety sensation, okay? So maybe that's a consideration to try out. Okay, again, I don't know how valid this claim is. It's just something I heard from someone else, okay? Is rotating band tension while keeping the same exercise enough to override the biological accommodation? It absolutely is, my friend. And this is, again, going back to the idea that concurrent periodization is extremely simple. There's nothing complicated about this. People need to realize that simple fixes override the biological accommodation. Same thing when we talk about pausing versus touch and go, close grip versus wide. I just gave you 4 variations right now. Okay, that's how simple it is. It's easy stuff, all right? If you rotate the band tensions, you'll be perfectly fine. Is it possible to go to the gym more than 3 times a week on a novice program? I don't even care anymore. I can't wait that long. I'm going to go for at least 5 times a week, even if it's not optimal. Well, let's be rational here now, okay? You're saying, oh, I don't care. I'm just going to do it anyway. Let's calm down, please. And let's get back to logic. Logic over emotion. If this is going to hurt your gains, then don't do it, okay? That said, there is a possibility for you, okay? Just train every 48 hours. That's the maximum recommendation that I would make if following something like my novice program, okay? Otherwise, if you really want to go 5 days a week or even more, then do a Bulgarian light system, which I don't recommend for novices. But since you like training that much, go ahead and do so, all right? That's your own decision to make, though. So I would say every 48 hours, although I cannot guarantee that you'll make better gains. It could be that because of the inferior recovery, you won't see much of a difference, maybe even a 10% difference at the absolute max. Some guys would go as far to say 30. I don't know how valid that claim is, all right? All I can say is that 3 times a week is a great sweet spot. If you're training Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, linear progression, getting stronger on a weekly basis, well, you're going to get some great numbers. So you can add that extra day if you want. Certainly 5 days I would not advise, but hey, you want to skip weekends, you just want to go 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, okay. Go ahead, try it out. Do you have to lock out your arms while doing dumbbell preacher curls? Good question. I think you should lock out your arms. Some guys disagree with that. They would say that you should leave a very slight bend. You know what? Do what you want. There's different ways to do the preacher curl, like the arm wrestler way is pure on half reps, sometimes even quarter reps. So you don't have to lock out on that, obviously. If you're doing full range of motion bodybuilding, well, if you leave like a slight bend, it's still a great way to stretch in the biceps, you know? But if you lock out, I think the stretch is even better for the most part. And maybe it's because I have hypermobile elbows that I can get away with this. I don't know. But I've always locked out on my preachers when targeting the biceps specifically. That's my objective, not for arm wrestling, okay? That said, if you don't want to lock out on the preacher, maybe you could do it on the incline curl. So lock out on the incline curls, leave a slight bend in the preachers, done deal. How long should you do cardio for optimal health? Well, when you say how long, you're talking about the duration or the frequency. So I'll address this from a few different angles here. From what I have researched, you should be moving your body every single day. Now, it doesn't have to be strenuous cardiovascular activity. It can be brisk walking. And the general recommendation is 20 to 90 minutes a day. 90 appears to be best, okay? Now, that does take up a lot of your time, so I don't know how free you are. But hey, let's say you want to listen to an audiobook lying down on the couch. Well, maybe you can go to a park, take a walk for the next hour, and listen to that audiobook, or the podcast or whatever. So ideally, you should be doing some form of cardio every day. It doesn't have to be anything strenuous, though, just so we're clear here. It can even be after your meals. A good recommendation that I learned from Stan Efferding is daily walks. So every time you have a meal, you go for a 10-minute walk. And by the end of the day, that adds up, bro. If you're just doing a 3-meal-a-day type setup, that's 30 minutes of walking. And that'll do wonders for your health. It'll help your digestion. It'll do wonders for your health. No bloating. This is a great recommendation. And if you're doing a super high-frequency eating template, well, you might be walking 5 times a day, and you'll get your recommended cardio. So I would say for the health benefits, okay, optimal human health, it should be done every day, but it doesn't have to be anything strenuous, 20 to 90 minutes a day, all right? Now, if we're talking about the athletic performance side of things and the whole GPP, well, that depends largely upon your routine. For my system, naturally enhanced, is done twice a week. I do the Bass routine, 30-minute boxing rounds, Tuesdays and Fridays. And I like to do high rep lunges as well, using the sandbag. So, hope that helps you out. Best leafy greens that are easy to incorporate into meals. The greens that you find most palatable. Whatever you prefer, man. My favorites would have to be kale, spinach, and rapini. Okay, I love freaking having that. Spinach, I always sneak it into my smoothies. It just, you don't really taste it straight up. You don't taste it at all, so I'll just add it straight up. And then kale, I like eating that directly. I love the taste of it. I love the way it makes me feel. And the same thing for the rapini, okay? It tastes amazing, all right? Just have it in one sitting. I like to include it with my meals. And spinach goes, bro, like the thing is too, right? I follow a whole food plant-based diet, so you incorporate the stuff naturally anyway. Like if I'm having rice, I'll probably throw in some spinach in there. You know, just, it complements well. I like adding veggies with my meals. I like having broccoli with my meals. Sometimes for a snack at the end of the day, I'll just take broccoli, like just straight up, and dip it in some hummus. Great snack, okay? So there's sneaky little ways like that, but I would say blending is a good option, including it into your meals as a whole, and just having the greens that you prefer, okay? Hey Alex, I am tired of doing squats and other direct leg work. I am satisfied with my leg size. Is it enough to just do deadlift variations and other pulling variations for the legs instead? Well, you're talking to someone who did exactly that. This is how I train the majority of the time. I haven't done squat training in years, okay? And I have no plans on going back right now anyway. It's not my objective. And my legs look pretty good. Now they did shrink because of the cut and because I've been exceptionally lazy with them. And I've switched over to different types of training, primarily emphasizing the calisthenics. And I'm going for that pound for pound strength. And I want the small legs personally. But besides that, they maintained very well when I was doing the heavy pulls. All types of variations, to be honest with you. Whether I pull from the floor or off blocks, like my legs were great. So for me, pulls did a good job of maintaining, but not much more than that. I don't think I gained leg size from doing heavy pulls. It just did a good job of maintaining. The only thing I would say did improve was my hamstring and glutes. For sure that went up, but not really my quads or anything like that. Alex, my parents only allow me to work out Friday, Saturday, Sunday every week. Which program should I use? What do you mean your parents only allow you to do this? Like, do you have a special home gym? They're saying, okay, son, you can only lift when I tell you to. Like, do they supervise you? Whatever. I'll answer your question. You can train Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Do a Bulgarian system. Problem solved. Obviously, you're not going to get all those other days. You're not going to get those 4 other days. But it's still something, right? You can get 3 intense workouts every single week. Or you can do a full body 3 times a week, back to back. Just lower exercise selection, lower volume, fewer accessories. So you can do some research on that. But I think that would be a pretty good way to train. Because you want a good amount of muscle protein synthesis for all your body parts while being able to cram in as much stuff as possible. A final recommendation could be the full body twice a week, okay? You can go Friday and Sunday. Done deal. Hi, Alex. I'm an intermediate lifter, and I've been wondering how can I combine naturally enhanced twice a week training with a calisthenics type of approach, with or without weight. Got any tips? P.S. I've only been lifting weights, and I'm a novice lifter in the calisthenics world. Okay. I'm glad you clarified that, man. So what I would personally recommend is continue to follow naturally enhanced as an intermediate lifter. But for your mini home workouts, all right, do novice calisthenics training. Perfect. You will have this covered, no problem, okay? So if you're doing the classic Monday and Thursday setup, Tuesday and Friday, do a basic calisthenics workout. It could be a simple circuit training routine where you're doing push-ups, pull-ups, and dips nonstop. You do like 5 to 10 revolutions. It could be a really basic workout. Look up some novice calisthenics routines. Do that on your off day, okay? Simple as that. It won't interfere with your recovery, okay, since you're a beginner to this stuff, and naturally enhanced is really good in managing in the first place, so I wouldn't worry about that. And as you get stronger and stronger, well, now you can actually start incorporating weighted calisthenics into naturally enhanced itself, into the actual training days. So now instead of maybe a barbell row, you can add a weighted pull-up. You know what I'm saying? Or if you want to add pull-ups within the routine itself, you have that capability, or weighted dips within the routine. So that's probably the best way of going about it. And then I would also advise that you do greasing the groove, my friend. Do push-ups every single day, but do not go to failure, all right? So whenever you feel like it, drop down, do a few push-ups. Whenever you walk by your door, if you got them out, do some pull-ups. It will accumulate in addition to the novice routine that you're doing on the Tuesdays and Fridays. Bro, this is so fucking money. This is great. This is great. You'll be good. I promise you that You'll get great gains if you train this way, all right? So enjoy, my friend. Hey Alpha, I'm currently using a 45-pound barbell to perform incline bench, bent over row, HB shrugs, zercher squats for as many reps as I can do. Circuit training, 3 rounds every day. Do you think I can achieve some decent muscular hypertrophy? I mean, bro, just using an empty bar, doing all those movements, those are great lifts, all right? Like, they're good. But just 45 pounds, it's a bit light, don't you find? It's quite light. That said, I could see this routine working really good for just muscular endurance and being fit as a whole. Like, you're going to get fit doing this, no problem, okay? But this is not optimal for bodybuilding purposes. Like, you'll probably gain a bit of muscle doing this. You will, especially if you're a novice lifter. And if you're doing like 45-pound overhead press for super high reps, I mean, yeah, you'll get some gains, all right? But how many gains? And at what point does it become like just weird and not feasible? Like, this is not optimal, man. Why won't you just buy weights? Even 135 will do you more. Like, if I was answering the same question, I had like a pair of 25s, 10s, 5s, and 45s, just one pair of those things, which would not cost you a lot of money, my man. If you just had that, you would have so many more options. And you're not going to destroy your floor either. I would recommend getting a little bit of weight. You can still do the circuit training style, okay? But get a bit more weight, all right? And maybe if you just can't do it for whatever reason, then incorporate calisthenics as well. So do the circuit training routine in addition to calisthenics, or follow this while you're in a pre-exhausted state, all right? But this routine by itself is not optimal, okay? You're going to have some problems eventually. Like, you're not going to get the biggest or strongest doing this, but at least for now, you can milk it for what it is, all right? So try it out, but consider what I said. So with that said, final question of the week. Yo, Alex, can you add in calf training while on naturally enhanced, maybe on the off days or with the neck GPP work? Okay, well, calf training was not included in naturally enhanced. Therefore, you can really do whatever you want with it, okay? Unlimited flexibility. And the beauty with calf training is that it does not interfere with your recovery. It just doesn't. You could do whenever the hell you want. You could do it on the training day itself. You could do it before. You could do it after. You could do it on the off day. It doesn't matter. So you know what I'm going to say, bro? Just maybe do it every 48 hours or whenever is convenient for you when entering the gym. If you have a home gym, obviously this is going to be a little bit easier. Maybe you can do your calves every 48 hours at home, okay? At a gym, maybe you can do it at the end of your workout, okay? Whatever you feel works best for your schedule. But yes, if you want to do calf training, whenever you want, my friend. But a good recommendation, here's something that's going to be really good for you guys, is you do it with the neck training GPP. You incorporate it on your mini home workouts. This way, like, it just blends. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry. Like, if you're going to the gym, there's not going to be any scheduling issues because you're already there. And you're going to have great recovery as well. You're still going to get muscle protein synthesis twice a week. Which for calves, I don't know if that's enough, I'll be honest. But it'll still be something. And it's just easy to manage. But if you don't want to follow that routine, then I would advise every 48 hours. So train your calves however you want. And with that said, I loved your freaking questions, man. This was a really, really good Q&A. And I'm really happy to be answering them and helping you out, all right? So post some more down below, and I'll talk to you all next week.